Hello, Ms. Buchanan's Algebra 1A class. I'm looking at this Exploring Standard Form and Intercepts slideshow that you're doing through Desmos with her today. I just want to read through this and take you through this, even though like the answers are pretty much there, except for at the very end, and I can give you some ideas on how to word this, but I want to read through this with you. Intercepts are the points where a graph touches the axes. The x-intercept is the point on the x-axis, and the y-intercept is the point on the y-axis. In the graph to the left, the x-intercept is 4, 0, that's right here, and the y-intercept is 0, 2, that's right here. For number 2, play with the sliders, explore how A, B, and C affect the graph, change one at a time. So A would be your the value that is with x. And you can see when you just move that back and forth, it becomes negative. You could see that the slope changes, and then positive. As it becomes more positive, it becomes steeper. So I'll put it back down to what did we have it at? 1. Right there. Okay, and then the B also. The greater that one is, goes that way and then goes back that way. So just taking a look at what you would be multiplying the y by. Let me set that back at 1. Okay, and then this just moves. It's up and down the y-axis, actually, just moving that angle up and down the y-axis. And I'll put that back at 1 also, right there. If we set it at 0, it should go right through the origin right there. Something for you to manipulate a little bit. So think about the equation, 3x plus 4y equals 12. Try to figure out what the x and y intercepts will be. When you think you've got it, go to the next screen and see if you're correct. I have this written out. And what I did was, if x is 0, I'm left with 4y equals 12. That's why I'm covering up the 3x, because right now I'm thinking of x is 0, because 3 times 0 would be 0. So if I just solve for 4y equals 12, solve for y, I divide both sides by 4, so y equals 3. Now when y equals 0, I'm left with 3x equals 12. That's why I covered up the 4y. So 3x equals 12. So I divide both sides by 3. So 12 divided by 3 gives me x equals 4. So the y-intercept is 3 and the x-intercept is 4. So go to the next one, and there it is. The y-intercept is 3, the x-intercept is 4, and you would connect those 2 points with a line. Okay, what are the intercepts for the equation 5x minus 3y equals 15? And then you're supposed to, put your answer here. And so I have here for you, when x is 0, I always go first with x is 0, and then I find the y-intercept. I don't know why, I just do it that way. So you could have y equals 0 first and go for the 5x equals 15, but, to each his own. Here we go. So if x is 0, my y is going to equal negative 5, because 15 divided by negative 3 is negative 5. When y is 0, x is going to equal 3, because 15 divided by 5 is 3. Okay? All right, so you would type that in there and then go, and actually it tells you the answers. My x-intercept was 3. And my y-intercept, that's on the y-axis, was that negative 5. Click the x-intercept to reveal its coordinates, and then adjust the sliders in rows 2 through 4. As the line changes, observe the coordinates. So, you click that, and then you could see when A changes, that moves it back and forth. B changes, it stays the same. Notice it stays the same. The x-intercept does not change when I'm moving the B back and forth. And then, or if I click that on again and I start moving the C around, the C, it slides up and down right along with what I'm doing. Okay, so a little manipulation activity. Think about what you saw on the previous screen in general. What is the y value of the x-intercept? So in general, the y value of the x-intercept is 0. Okay. All right. Next. And then change it to click your y. And then when you move the A, notice that it stays, the y-intercept stays. B, notice that the y-intercept changes. And then C, notice that the y just moves, the intercept, if I click on it, moves up and down when I change my C. Okay? So in general, what is the x value of the y-intercept? The x value of the y-intercept is 0. So at the x-intercept, the y value is 0. That's what we just said. And at the y-intercept, the x value is 0. So at this is the y, so you have your y-intercept 2.5, the x value is 0. That's their example. At this point on this line, the x-intercept is 10, so that means the y value is going to be 0. All right? Just pointing that out. Finding intercepts algebraically. This is what we were doing earlier, setting x to 0 to figure out what y equals, and then setting y to 0 to figure out what x equals. On paper, write and solve the x and y intercepts for this equation, and I have that one right here. I changed it to have the x first and the y. It doesn't matter which, that you didn't need to do that, but I just did that so it looks like your other ones where the x is first, because this one, I don't know if you noticed, but the y was first. So when x is 0, I'm left with 5y equals 20. 5y equals 20. I take 20 divided by 5. That gives me 4 for my y value. My x, when my y is 0, I have negative 3x equals 20. So I just take 20 divided by negative 3, and I get negative 6.67. And you actually get those answers here. When you click on this in Desmos, it actually shows you the points. So notice my x-intercept, like I said, is negative 6.667. I rounded it a little bit earlier. I put negative 6.67. It doesn't make a difference. That's close enough. And the y is going to be 0, 4, or the y-intercept is 4, in other words. And then lastly, your best friend is absent today and missing the whole lesson. Write a short summary explaining how to graph an equation using intercepts. Some ideas. You could write this down exactly, or you could just change it up and use your own words. But you solve for each variable when the other variable equals 0. And then you plot the points of the intercepts on the x and y axes. And then you connect points with a line. That's it. All right. Hope you understood everything you were going through. Rewind, watch it again. Listen carefully, and you'll get this standard form and intercepts.